Alright, so we're going to start by taking our steaks out of the fridge. We got our teriyaki marinade over here. I'll have a link to the video of how to make that. Gotta get this open first. We got a Porterhouse, and a New York strip. The New York we're probably going to be saving for another day, so I'm going to throw that in a separate bag with its own marinade. I'll cook it tomorrow. I'm just going to pour some of that right on there. Get all the air out. There we go. Throw this one in the fridge. Keep it fresh until tomorrow. And then we got our big Porterhouse over here. And since we're just going to use most of it, just dump it all in. Save a little bit to throw on the steaks while they're cooking. Take a big Porterhouse, drop it in the bag there. Make sure we get all the air. And we'll let that marinate for about 3 to 4 hours in the fridge, and then take it out, and it should be ready to grill. Alright, now we're going to start making our mashed potatoes. We're going to get a pot like this. It doesn't have to be this big, it depends on how much you're making. And you're going to fill it with enough water to have all your potatoes diced and floating in there. It's going to take a while. Alright, now we're going to start on our mushrooms. We're going to start by taking a little bit of butter and throwing it in a medium-sized pan on medium-high heat. The butter all melted in there. Alright, and for this we're going to use a cup of red wine. We used a box of our local finest. You can really use any kind. The sweeter usually brings out a little better flavor, but if you don't like that sweet of a flavor in your mushrooms, you can go with a more savory wine, a more dry, I guess you would say. But either way, it'll be good. I use about a cup. You can use less. I mean, there's going to be a little extra liquid, so I'll probably end up using about 3/4 of this cup and seeing how that works, and then depending on how little there is, I might add the rest. Yeah, butter all melted. Alright, and now they're a little brown because they're a few days old, but they're still fine. We washed them. Get rid of that one. But for the most part they should be good, even though they're a little brown. As long as they aren't slimy and weird looking. So we're just going to throw them in there. And then we're going to let them cook up a little bit while it's still hot. And let them get a little sauteed and fried almost. And let them get some of the water cook out of them before we add our red wine. Let's see. And then our water is almost boiling on our mashed potatoes. So that should be pretty soon. Alright, so we've done a few, like 2-3 minutes with nothing in there. You're going to wait about 5 minutes probably, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in, I'll just go ahead and do it now. Add in the red wine. Oh, try not to set the pepper on fire. That'll be good. You see, I'm not going to put all of it in there. It's most of a cup. It depends on how many you're really cooking. And then, while it's still heating up, we have these pre-packaged pieces of garlic. So I'm going to go ahead and use those. I just cut 2 in half, and I'm going to throw them in there while it's cooking. I don't want to. The reason I'm not cutting them up too thin is because I don't want to get chunks of garlic when we're biting in to get some of our mushrooms after they're cooked. Usually, like, if I'm not going to intend it to be eaten, I like to leave them in chunks so that way they can be avoided. Now, with these, I like to over-season them, and that's just because I'm not that fond of the mushroom flavor. I mean, I do like it, but it's not my favorite flavor, so I like to cut it with a lot of seasoning. But if you like more of the raw mushroom flavor, just the pure mushroom flavor, you can go ahead and use a little less pepper and seasonings in me, and it'll be good. So the key is you're really just seasoning to taste, and you're going to let them simmer, and they're going to reduce in size, and you'll notice it'll start evaporating once all the water weight's cooked out of it mostly, and then it'll keep them hydrated still because they're still floating in it. But that way you get a good nice. I don't know, I like them wiggly almost, but not too wiggly. Alright, we're going to dice up some more 4 garlic cloves real thin. We're going to toss them in our mashed potato pot. Alright, now we got a pretty rough dice on these. I mean, they don't have to be perfect or super small because they're going to get pretty soft and mashed up with the potatoes anyway. But I'm going to throw those in first into our boiling pot. Alright, then we're going to come over here and grab our potatoes. These are the only ones we had. Normally I like to use russet potatoes, 4 big ones, but we're going to make do with these 6 little yellow gold potatoes. Wash them off, and then we're going to chop them going to cube them into 4s, and then toss them in, and then since we got not that many big potatoes, it'll probably cook pretty quick, and then we're going to go ahead and turn our broiler on and get our steaks going too. So we're just going to cut them simple dice cubes like that. Oh, almost lost them. There we go. Make sure they're all broken up. Whoop, don't burn yourself. Alright, and we're going to throw some salt in there with them. And some pepper. And we're just going to let that get back up to a boil. And we're going to check on our mushrooms over here. Put the broiler on. See, they're already starting to reduce in size. When they get like this, you can turn them down to just kind of a medium flame, just to keep them cooking. Don't want it too low though. Don't want them to undercook. Alright, now we're going to get our steak out. Whoa. These are tongs. Smells like teriyaki. I'm going to throw this leftover marinade away because it's got all the raw beef in it, and you can't really use it to base the meat in, because it's just going to get your nasty bacteria back on the meat. Alright, so we're going to wait for the broiler to get preheated, and then we'll go ahead and throw it in. Alright, so our potatoes are all boiled, so now we're going to drain them. This will be interesting to do with one person. Here, let me get... Alright, so it's about halfway in. We flipped it over, and now we're going to put some of the sauce on it, and then throw it back in there. Alright, so we got our mashed potatoes all strained now. So now what we're going to do is add some butter. Grab the rest of this. Throw it in there with that. And some milk. We're going to add a little bit of milk in there to start out with. And now because we don't have that much in there, I'm just going to mash them by hand to start with. And then I'll use that blending stick. To finish it off. You just want to get them all mashed up and mixed around with the butter and the milk. And that's how you're going to get them to be creamy and look like mashed potatoes. Alright, so we got our mashed potatoes mashed all together. Now we're going to add a little bit more milk. Just tending to the mushrooms over here. You can see they've reduced in size, and now the water content also has gone down. And we're just going to continue to let those keep cooking for a little bit longer. Go over here, add a little bit more milk. And the trick is, you don't want to add too much at once, because if you add too much, it's a lot harder to fix than if you add too little. And then, so now you're just going to go from here to whatever consistency you like. So if you like it to be a little more runny than this, or a little less, you can add more or less milk. I mean, the more you add, the more runny they're going to be, obviously. I like this consistency here. This will probably be good for me, but I mean, it's really up to you guys. And that's it for the mashed potatoes. They're done. We can plate those, and that's it. Alright, here we go. This is the steak after about 15 to 20 minutes in the broiler. Flipped it halfway on each side. Looks delicious, I know. And that's it for the steak. I'm gonna cut the New York off for me and the filet off for Jamie, and then that'll be dinner. And then we got our mashed potatoes over here. Those are done too. And then our mushrooms. There you go. Easy steak, mashed potatoes, and mushroom dinner. Let me know what you guys think.